Thought we would do a practice today for when you don't feel like practicing. So, you know how you have those days where either you didn't sleep well, or you're not feeling well physically, or you have some depression, or you overindulged the night before in whatever you overindulged in, and you just wake up and you just don't feel well. You know, it's just one of those sluggish days where you'd rather just stay in bed. And I think those are the days sometimes when it's hardest to exercise in any form, when that's really what would help us the most, is kind of moving our body and getting going. Years and years ago, one of my yoga teachers told me that if you get onto your mat, or you can't even get to your mat, if you're just like, I can't even get to my mat today, to start with a restorative pose and, you know, allow your body to move from there. And she had a specific pose to begin with, which we will begin with today. And it always struck me to remember that even when you don't feel well, your practice is there for you. And maybe especially when you don't feel well, your practice is there for you. So the beautiful thing about asana is that we have the vigorous postures, and we have the restorative postures, and we have everything in between. And we have a way to modify everything based on what your needs are for any given day. So the biggest hurdle sometimes is just unrolling your mat. And just spreading out the time to say, now I'm going to do some yoga. So you've already gotten that far. You even went further. You turned on a computer and you're on a Zoom class. So good job. But remember, the library is always there for you, as is your own just internal process in your mind. So on the days when you really need some support, try to just unroll your mat and see what happens. Try not to have expectations for your practice, especially on the days when you're feeling tired or fatigued. Okay, so let's close our eyes. And you can do this lying down, you can do this sitting up, you can do this standing up, however you feel you are best suited right now. And just come into a state of grounding. So perhaps, you know, if you've not been feeling well, and maybe you feel great today, and this really doesn't apply, but if you haven't been feeling well, or there's exhaustion in you in some way, in the mind or in the body or in the spirit, let's come into that state and just become aware. Oftentimes we are on autopilot, and especially if you struggle with anxiety or depression, a sense of disembodiment can be a tool that we sometimes use to support ourselves. And really what we want to do now is embody, to come in to know how you feel right now, even if it's not well, even if you don't feel well. So let's drop in and get to know what's here right now. Kind of take stock of your energy level. Take stock of the mind. And where has the mind been? Where are you gravitating, attaching in your thoughts? How has the state of your breath been? How has the state of your heart been lately? No matter what the answers are that are coming, whatever the sensations and thoughts are in response to this internal questioning, see if you can invite in the truth of how you feel right now, truth of your sensation. Try not to block anything away. I'm going to do a little bit of breath work to get us going. So go ahead and take your hands on your nostrils. So right thumb on right nostril, right ring finger on left nostril, high up on the top of your nostrils. And let's do some alternate nostril breathing here. So we're going to start by closing off the right and breathing in through the left. And then close off the left and breathe out through the right. So I think most of you have done, all of you have done this with me before, where we're just switching sides. So we breathe out and then in through the same side, then switch to the other side. So we're gently blocking off our nostril. We're not pushing our head or pushing our nose to the side. We're just creating a little dam in the river so that the other side has flow. When you do this, notice the refreshment, the feeling of breath as it comes through. See if you can get the sense that there's this beautiful energy that's entering into your body. So even if your energy levels are low or the mind is not very steady, we have the breath to guide us. Try to give yourself fully to the task of this breath. Bring yourself into the long spine, the open heart, the soft skull, the bowed face where there's no tension across the face. The sense of the shoulder blades still a little firm on the back, supporting you. Nothing squeezing or tightening, just supporting. If you have one nostril that's very full, you can try blowing your nose and see if that helps. And if at any time this is really too much, where you're congested, you can just return to some Ujjayi breath. Where do you feel the breath going? Can you feel the feathers of the breath traveling through your skull? Imagine that each element of the breath that you sense is this beautiful healing light or air or whatever element you feel that is touching all the places within you. When you are ready to be done, and we're only just doing a couple minutes of this, you can do it longer if you are really enjoying it. We're going to be done by breathing out through the left side. So once you come to that place in your journey through the nose, take your hand away and just fill up your skull. Bright, new prana. Well, nothing's really new, but bright, fresh prana entering into you, giving you the energy that you need. Exhale and let whatever is ready to let go leave. Renew yourself. Every breath is an opportunity for renewal. Let's place the hands together at the heart and bow. Offer an intention, perhaps for your own well-being in some way. Let's release the hands. Let's go ahead and come on to our mat. So grab, if you have a bolster, we need a bolster for the beginning here. If you don't have a bolster, that's okay. You can use a blanket or some pillows. So unlike the way we normally begin, we're just going to do a simple twist over a bolster. This is the pose that my yoga teacher, Leslie Bradley, years and years and years ago taught me. So right leg is straight. We're going to bend the left knee like in half Uttanasana. If that doesn't work for your knees, your legs, both legs can be straight. Take the bolster or blankets or pillows perpendicular out from your right hip, and we're going to twist and lay down on the bolster, belly down on the bolster. So you can adjust. You can move the bolster further away from you, a little closer to you, however feels comfortable for your body. You can turn your head left or right, whatever feels comfortable. And just notice there are some places in your body that are restricted in this pose. There's some places in your body that are opening in this pose. Allow your breath to come fully in and to fully leave. Rest your shoulders. So notice if there's bound up tension, start to pay attention. What can be released? What can let go? Okay, we're going to come on up. Change sides. 2 sit bones down. Bolsters coming out from the left. Bend the right knee if it's comfortable. Spin your body. Turn your torso toward your bolster and lie down. You can turn your head one way or the other. You can adjust so that more of your belly or more of your chest is lying on the bolster. So whatever feels comfortable, let your legs relax. Allow your breath to come in deeply. And notice through your shoulders, is there tension or strain across the tops of your shoulders? See what you can let go of. Now, this is just one example. Let's go ahead and come out when you're ready. This is just one example of a restorative posture. Any restorative pose would be good to start a practice if you are feeling like, oh, I just don't really want to move. Any restorative practice that gets you on your mat and gets you in your body is a great way to begin your practice. Let's lie down on our back and roll from side to side. Bring your knees to the chest. Just let your back relax. The key here is to start feeling the breath, to notice the renewal of the inhale and the exhale, to come into the somatic understanding of your body. So we want to feel ourselves. Let's open up our knees away from each other and let the hip sockets open and back in. So a little swinging of your knees wide apart and coming back to the center. Just pay attention. We're going to release that. Left leg comes straight on the floor. Right knee comes into the chest. And let's roll our ankles around. Even something as simple as waking up your feet can help you energize your body for your practice, to get you in a different state of mind where you're ready to move instead of ready to just, do nothing, to just be a couch potato. Doesn't take much sometimes to get us to rev the engines. Left knee into the chest, right leg long on the floor. Enjoy the squeeze, the hugging in, and roll your ankles around again. Don't forget your toes. So, have any kind of awakening in your feet that's available to you. It doesn't just have to be an ankle roll. All right, and then stretch your legs out, stretch your arms, starfish your body open. Wiggle your fingers and your toes, roll your wrists and your ankles, come into that state of awakening the whole body. Exhale, knees into the chest, chin comes up. One more time, open the body out. Exhale, close the body up. All right, put your feet on the ground. Notice if you already feel just a little bit more excited for your practice. If you're already like, oh yeah, this feels good to be embodied. Okay, let's rock left and right. Let's move our windshield wipers. Okay, so our knees are going left and then right. I'm waking up the hips a little bit, the low back a little bit. Feel free to stretch the opposite arm away.
All right, and then stretch your arms overhead and your legs long on the floor, and stretch the left side and then stretch the right side, and wake up the side rims of the body, especially around your shoulders. See if you can get some awareness, awakening, opening. And then cactus, open your arms, backs of the hands resting on the floor if your body does that. And just take a deep breath into the chest. So not alternate nostril breathing, but a nice steady inhale through the nose. And a full exhale. And we're gonna bring our knees up, roll over onto your right side. Stay on your right side. Create right angles with your arms and your legs. Take a deep breath in and open the chest. Similar vibe to over the bolster, but now we might feel this instead of just twisting in our spine and opening across our chest. Breathe into the front of the sternum. Breathe into the pecs, the front of the shoulder. And exhale and release that arm back, right angles. Roll over onto your other side. Knees are bent at 90 degrees, hips are bent at 90 degrees. Take a deep breath in, open the arm out, turn your head. Maybe your hand touches the floor, maybe it doesn't. Breathe into the chest, stretch into the pecs. Fill up the lungs in this way, empty them all the way. And then roll right back over to your side. Come onto all fours, so however you get there. We're going to come up onto your hands and your knees. All right, so move the spine around, and you can start with cat-cow. Maybe you don't want to start with cat-cow. Maybe you want to swirl your spine around instead. So whatever feels good, we're just awakening and moving through our spine. Feel into the shoulder blades moving toward each other, the shoulder blades moving away from each other. Feel the movement of your pelvis into a big wide anterior tilt with the sit bones wide and the tail high, and then switch that direction and hug on in. And then move the spine around any way that you want to move the spine. Don't forget that you have a head and neck. Breathe deeply and fully. And then stretch back towards child's pose. Open the shoulders again. Walk the hands to wherever is comfortable for you. Inch those fingers forward. Deep breath into the rib cage. Let's walk the hands over to the left side of your mat. Open up the right side of your ribs, and your hips can come off your heels to do this, or stay low, whichever feels good for your body. It doesn't really matter how far you go or how high you are. Come into a place where the breath is free. And then come back to center and inch over to the other side. Let the base of your skull soften. Open the rib cage up here. Take a deep, full breath. And come back to center and swirl the spine or the ribs or their head or the pelvis around again. Now curl the toes under and stretch back towards child's pose and open the bottom of your feet. Now, this may be painful for some people's toes, so only go as far as your body is okay to go. Spread open the bottom of your feet. Imagine that the bottom of your feet can yawn awake, that the eyes can open. And then come back up onto all fours and smack your feet on the ground. If it's comfortable. If this hurts your toes, don't do it. All right, and then find your way fully up to dog pose. We're off the ground now, hands and feet rooting. See if you can get into that awakening of the body. Feel free to pedal. You can drop one knee, you can straighten the other leg. Now, depending on, if you're doing a practice like this when you're not feeling well, if you have a very full head or a very severe headache, sometimes dog pose doesn't feel all that great. So if that's ever the case, you can always do dog pose with your hands higher on something. So you're not dropping as low if your head is bothered by the deep inversion. So there's ways to modify every posture for your needs for any day at all. Breathing well. And then come back down onto your knees and find child's pose. Relax your skull. We're gonna come up onto our shins. Inhale, rise up, open the chest. Gather that energy in. Back to the center. We're gonna do that twice more. Inhale, energetically scoop up some energy. Bring it into your body. Back down. One more time. Rise up. Open the chest. Exhale. And come back down. Hands forward. Curl toes under. Dog pose. If you want to be higher with your upper body, go higher with your upper body. Take your feet wide apart to the edges of the mat. Turn your toes in a little bit and feel the freedom across your diaphragm, your pelvis. Breathe into the belly. Find some breath traveling lower in the body. Inhaling and exhaling. And then walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Fold. Shake your hips. Relax your neck. Breathe deeply. Any kind of bouncing or moving that feels good for you. Halfway lift. Spine grows a little bit more. Legs are straighter. Exhale, bend again. Knees bent. Drop your seat. Lift your chest and rise up. All right, now reach your arms to the sky. Open up your chest. Lean back a little bit. Remember, if you're dizzy when you come upright, always just take a moment to squeeze your chin towards your chest, your hands toward each other. You can even cross one thigh over the other thigh. All right, so once you're ready, stay in that heart opening. Welcome into the day. So lift your arms to whatever place is comfortable. Maybe even take your legs wider apart. Give yourself the stance of welcoming. And release the hands down. Shake your hands. Okay, we're going to do some shakes. Start with your hands. And then see if you can shake your upper arms. And just come into your shoulders, shaking. And then start to get your whole body into it. You can stay on the ground. You don't have to jump, but just bounce a little bit. Get some movement of energy through your body. Let your arms be moving while you're bouncing. Let your breath come in. Maybe try lifting your arms. Maybe try bending your knees or lowering your body. All right, just pause for a moment. We got one more wake up thing to do, but just notice already if energy's starting to move in your body, if you're starting to get the engines moving, even though you didn't want to, perhaps. Okay, and maybe you all came to the practice stay totally energized. Okay, let's smack. Especially across your chest. But you can smack all that you can touch. You can do this with kind of scooped palms. You can even do this with gentle fists. Don't forget the back of your lungs. You can pound with some loose fists around the base of the lungs. Your kidney area. Get that kidney chi moving. This is, our source chi right back there. You have some legs, some feet. In the soles of your feet, you can smack a little bit. To the back of you. Don't forget your head, your face. Very gentle on your face. Shake out your hands. To me, the slapping around and the bouncing is kind of a little like fake it till you make it. If you have a day where your energy is low, it's just a little tricks in your toolbox to get yourself moving. Take a deep breath in, open up the heart, stretch it open to the day. Exhale and float forward, relax your neck. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Let's step the left foot back. Come onto your back knee. So our right foot's forward and our back knee is on the ground. You can always pad underneath it if you need some support. When you're ready,
Rise up, bring hands on your knees. Try not to fall into the posture. We're stabilizing, we're pressing our back shin and knee into the floor, pressing our front heel into the floor, rising up. Take your left arm up in the air and just gently open up through the side. Breathe into the side ribs, into the psoas. Find the breath. And then reach to cross. So reach the arm over, place the elbow on the knee or to the side of the knee and open up the chest. A nice gentle twist here. Hug to the midline with the inner thighs. Broaden across your collarbones. Fill up your breath. Come back to center, reach the arms up to the sky. And then a big circle around, hands down onto the ground. Hand on the inside edge of your foot. Stretch into the long spine. Breathing well. So notice we're awakening a lot of the body, but we're not, our back knee is on the floor to support us when our energy is a little bit on the low side. And then bring that foot back to child's pose. Settle the hips. Notice the difference between your two groins. Let things resolve. Soften. Breathe into the back of the body. Bring the left foot forward. Come into a lunge. On this side, back knee is down onto the ground. Just enjoy the hip flexor stretch. Open yourself up. And then as we're ready, let's rise up. Bring your hands on your knee. Open up through the chest. Modify this in any way you need to for your back knee for support. And if you're able to reach open, stretch a little bit through that right side. Open things up. And reach forward. So reach to the side a little bit. Place the elbow on the knee or to the side of the knee and open up across your chest. So it's easy to collapse the heart here. Do what you can to move the shoulder blades down and toward each other. Collarbones broad. Hug to the midline with your legs. We'll come back to center. Arms lifting to the sky. Press your front heel into the ground. Open the chest. Exhale. Hands to the inside edge of your leg. All right, so open up the heart. Shoulder blades down. Collarbones broad. Feel the sense of space across your sternum. Find your breath. And then bring that leg back, child's pose. So remember, always assessing as you start to move through your practice, always assessing. If you're not feeling well, if you're under the weather in some way, this may be like, okay, now that's enough spurts for me and I need to rest more. Perhaps this was enough to just get the engines running and you're ready for a more vigorous practice. So constantly check in and then follow the pathways that are right for you. Curl your toes under and reach up to dog pose. Extending through the spine, feel the backs of the legs open. Feel free to pedal the feet again. You can drop one heel down, then the opposite knee. Feel the calves, the Achilles stretch. Feel the hamstring stretch. Let's take our feet wide again, toes turn in. Notice the freedom across your diaphragm and pelvis. Breathe here. And we're going to walk our feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Relax your neck. Sway your hips. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, and melt again. Drop your bottom, lift your chest, rise up. Okay, so if you're ever dizzy, you know what to do. Squeeze to the midline. Let's just pause here. This is a good place for you to take stock. You can follow me into some standing poses. Or perhaps you're like, oh, my energy is a little low. I need to get back down on the ground. Then you can do some stretches on the floor, maybe Supta Padangusthasana or something like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and find our way into a wide-legged stance. We're going to very gently do some goddess poses to bring some energy in. So we're not going to go super deep. So, you don't have to go way low. We're just starting to gather energy. So rise up with your arms, take a deep breath. Pull some energy down into your heart. Hands come together. Let's repeat this a few times. Arms up. Open chest. Exhale. Pull that energy down into the body. One more times. Notice when you bend your knees, where's your weight going? Is it even through both legs? Especially if you have a knee or an ankle or a hip that is a little wonky, make sure you're supporting. Go to that side first and coax it into support. One more time, we're gonna stay on this next one. Arms come up, bring that energy down in, okay, and find your way. So you can be very high and you can start to go a little lower. Where's your energy? Open your chest, find your breath. Spread out the bones of your feet. Now start to pull that energy from the earth. See if you can drink up from the earth into your legs. Give to the earth as well. We're going to do some different movements with our arms. Open chest, cactus arms. Exhale, round the chest a little bit. Forearms come together. Twice more. Big breath. Big exhale. Once more. Rising all the way up. Turn your foot to the right, triangle pose. So allow your thighs to rest here. And just open up into the hamstring. You can use a block. If your body is so inclined, you can also put your hand on your leg. All right, so what can you open here? What's available to become a little bit more free? Maybe your chest. Maybe you can root a little bit more in your legs to feel that sense of grounding. How is the open breath here? All right, let's rise up, reaching that arm to the sky. So reverse your triangle pose. And we're going to find our way into Virabhadasana 2. So if your energy is really low, there's a few things you can do to support yourself. You can just come a little bit into the pose. You can put a block against your shin and put that against a piece of furniture to support yourself a little bit more. You can do this pose sitting in a chair at the edge of a folding chair. So take your posture to where you are. Meet yourself where you are. See if you can stay open in the breath. Put your arms in a place that supports that steady, open breathing. Do you have a relationship with the earth? Can you yield and receive? So just as we were gathering from above into ourselves, gather from below. Feel the roots of the earth draw into you, giving you energy. All right, and then straighten the leg for just a moment. We're going to come into Parsville Konasana. Either your elbow can be on your knee or your hand can be on a block. Whatever is soothing, supportive for your body. Stretch your other arm overhead. So finding that fullness of your ribs. Maybe your hand needs to be in a different place, so just find the pathway that's right for you. Ground both legs, so we're rooting, we're pushing into the earth to rebound through the body. Full steady breaths. Feel the ribs move on the breath. Relax your neck. Feed yourself the energy from the breath. Feed yourself the energy from the earth. All right, let's go ahead and come back up to stand. Pause at the top. Bring your arms anywhere you want them to be. Close your eyes for a moment. Receive, maybe palms up, maybe palms out. Ask for energy. Just receive what you receive. Find it on the breath. Find it through your palms. Find it through your feet. Okay, we're going to turn our feet to the left and start with triangle pose. So remember, you can have your hand on a block. You can also have your hand on your leg somewhere, especially around your knee. Be really mindful not pushing weight into our leg. We don't want to lean into the posture with our hips, with our legs, with our shoulders. We want to be alive. So press into the earth, rebound and feel the length in your body, the space in your body. So we're not collapsing anywhere. If there's any will to bring to your practice, if you're having a day where your will is low and you just are kind of slogging around, but bring your will to the breath. Bring it to just one little place of the body to find that stout open heart, to find the space somewhere, and then let that will ripple and expand. Okay, rise back up, reverse your triangle pose, open the rib cage, take advantage, take a nice deep breath. And then find your way into warrior two. So there's so many ways to back off your practice. You can bring your hands in. You can be less deep in your leg. You can sit in a chair. You can support your front knee. There's so much you can do to back away from the efforting and feed yourself the energy. So drink up from the earth, drink from your hands, drink from your breath. Relax the shoulders. Find the steadiness of this pose, the strength, the will that lives just inherently in this posture. When you're ready, you can find your way to Parsville Konasana. So spin your foot a little bit so you wake up all those muscles in your hip. So by spinning your foot, I mean with your left toes, turn them left. Left heel, turn it right. So a little bit of an isometric spin on the floor will turn light bulbs on in your hip. Open the chest. Maybe your arm is down at your side like mine is today. Maybe your arm is up overhead and there's a full expansion. Maybe somewhere in between. Okay, so just find what's right. Shoulders are soft. The breath is easy. We're drinking up the pose. So drink from the earth. Relax the shoulders, drink up the breath. Every inhale you take, you're receiving renewal. All right, go ahead and find your way out. Let's come back to turning the feet to the long edge of the mat and come into Prasarita. Now, same. If this pose, if your head is full and you don't like the feeling of coming lower, a couple things you can try. First is just supporting the head. Having, something underneath the head can be very helpful. And if it's still too much, you can do this pose with your legs wide and your hands on a table or the edge of a chair or a wall. There's always something to do to support yourself for this posture to not be so low. Breathing deeply. Thigh bones back, shin bones forward a bit so that you unlock the knees. Feel all the space in your spine, your diaphragm, your pelvis for good, healthy breathing. All right, then we're going to inch our feet back to the back of the mat, hands to the front of the mat, and come to dog pose. All right, I think about now, maybe you're ready for a plank. Okay, so if you're not, if your energy is still a little low, put your knees down. So there's ways always to support your practice to meet your energy needs. So perhaps you're like me and you're on all fours and stabilizing your core here. If you want a little mini plank, but not a full plank, just bring your knees further back on the ground. And then we're going to lower ourselves to the ground. Roll the shoulders a few times. Just get used to dropping the traps, letting there be some space there. And then inhale and rise up, cobra pose. Exhale and melt back down. One more time. Coming on up. Exhale, coming on down. Come up onto all fours and move the spine around. Swish, swish, sway. All right, deep forward fold into child's pose. Now perhaps you have that bolster again,
And you come to rest in child's pose. If you don't have a bolster, perhaps take a block and put it underneath your head so you're just a little bit higher and a little bit more supported in this pose. You can even take a block and put it under your sternum. One block under your sternum, one block under your head, kind of like a reverse heart bench. Okay. So there's always ways to support yourself, even if you don't have fancy props. 2 blocks can do a lot. Let your breath move. Relax your skull. And then come on up. Keep the blocks handy because we'll need them in a moment. We're going to come into pigeon pose. So your right leg is coming forward first. Now, perhaps you need a lot of support for this posture with a blanket or 2 or a block. So you find the way that's going to be supportive for you. If pigeon pose is too much, you can flip over onto your back and do reverse pigeon pose. All right, so finding some depth here. Same, especially if your energy is low, you can support your head in this posture, your forehead supported, which is a wonderful way of getting into the depth of stretching without straining. Okay, so we're trying to conserve our energy here. Come into the breath. Once you get settled in your body, come into the breath as best as you can. Notice the renewal of the inhale. Notice the release of the exhale. Consciously stay present with that experience. Relax anything you can. Okay. And we're going to switch sides. So perhaps you're a dog poser, where you like to come up to dog pose and lift that leg. Perhaps you just switch sides like I'm doing. So if you need more or less support on this side, take it. If you're in reverse pigeon pose, just switch your legs. So a lot of times we lean into the front leg side. See if you can find enough support where there's balance between the 2 sides of your body. You're not leaning more weight into the left side than the right. Take any position with your block. It can be on its highest height. You can even have multiple blocks. Whatever feels good to you. Find your way into the ease of this pose. Melt, you want to find the structural support. So the knees kind of hug into the pelvis. We're squaring the hips. Inner thigh of that back leg is lifting toward the sky. The sit bones widen. There's so much to do to kind of orient your pelvis properly. And then once you do, rest here. Do you have enough support? So we're not trying to pry open our SI joints. We're just trying to open the hip and get a little stretch through the piriformis. We're not overdoing it. If you find strain, if you're gripping and you can't relax, then you're doing something too much. You're going too deep. So back away. Take more support, take your heel closer to your pubic bone, find a pathway that is a little bit more restful to you so that your shoulders and neck and head can completely melt. So that the breath is not choppy and held, we're not gripped across the diaphragm, we're able to breathe fully.
find our way out of the pose. We're going to, when you're ready, take a blanket and open it this way so that it's at an open fold, folded in half. And then we're going to roll it to be a bolster. So you can roll it less, like halfway roll or a full roll, depending on the size of your blanket and how open you feel across your chest. You can take another block or a blanket underneath your head for this if you need to. I'm not going to use a block under my head because it doesn't bother me to drop my head back, but I know for some people it does. And we're going to start with this blanket high, kind of underneath our shoulder blades. We're going to bend our knees, okay? And first, just have your hands down at your sides, and we're just going to rock our knees to just make sure your low back is nice and soft. You're in a good place with your spine. And then once you find comfort, check in, is your head in a good place? Are your shoulders in a good place? And we're going to just start moving a little bit. So bring your arms straight up in the air over your chest, and we're going to roll to one side a little bit and then roll to the other. We're not moving the bolster down the back. We're just going side to side. And then we're going to slowly bring the arms over our head to whatever place is comfortable. And same, if you want to just rock a little bit with your legs or your shoulders, left and right. Just a little bit of juicy movement. You don't have to go into big movements here. We're just trying to feel into what's happening in the shoulders. And then bring your hands back up right over your chest. And we're going to turn our head to one side, bring our arms over to that same side. In the breath. Now I notice my knees want to go there too, and that's okay. And then come back and go the other side. So just a little bit of stretching across the back side of your shoulder, a little twist. And then come back up. And we're going to scoot down just a little bit. All right, so this time we're going to take our hands and put your opposite hand on your shoulder so that you're crossing kind of at your elbows. And you're just going to rock left and right a little bit. Just get used to having a bolster underneath your spine in the middle or bottom edge of your shoulder blades. Find your favorite place to keep your arms. And then we're going to keep the hands right where they are and just put your forearms on your forehead for a moment. And lift the arms straight up in the air, just like we did before. And then you can kind of sway a little bit from side to side. And then we're going to slowly bring the arms up over our head. You can be swaying from side to side while you do this, or be still. And then once you get to where your arms are comfortable, hang out there and breathe. Notice your chest. Try to relax your neck and shoulders as best as you can. Now, if your arms are touching the ground over your head, then you can try sliding into goalpost arms here. If your hands are not touching the ground over your head, then instead of coming into goalpost arms, bring your hands right over your chest again, and we're going to come out like a right angle. Okay, so our hands are just straight out to the sides. So either way, whatever feels comfortable for your body, take some deep, full breaths here. Is your neck supported enough? Does your head feel comfortable? This blanket is kind of in the middle of our shoulder blades. You can make any little adjustments that you want. And now we're going to roll right over on the bolster, roll right over onto your right side, and just feel that little bit of a rolled blanket under your ribs. Take a deep breath and stretch our left arm over our head. And then bring your hand onto your hip. Breathe into your rib cage. Both let the inhale move into the bolster, but also feel the bolster move into your exhale.
And then we're gonna roll back onto our back. Have a breath here, any arm position will do. And then we're gonna find our way over onto the left. So the bolster is in our left rib cage. Settle there, bend your knees. Take your right arm overhead. You do not have to touch the floor with your right arm. You can just stretch it long. Breathe into the inhale. Let the exhale find its way. And then when you're ready, hand on your hip. Feel the full inhale. Feel the bolster help your exhale. Coming back over onto your back, shimmy the bolster down just a little bit to the very edge of your shoulder blades. If you want to stretch your legs straight, if you want to stretch your arms overhead, just find a belly breath here, a diaphragmatic stretch. Anything that feels comfortable with arms and legs. One more time, we're rolling over onto our side. Now the bolster is going to be on our lower ribs. Breathe a breath here. And then come back to center and roll over to the other side. And you can even roll a little bit more toward your belly. So just kind of find the pathway that where the bolster is being a little bit of massage for your diaphragm and your ribs. And we're gonna roll all the way over onto our side and come on up to all fours and stretch back to child's pose. Put the bolster underneath your head. Breathe into the length of your spine and rock left and right. All right, come up onto all fours. Move the ribs, move the pelvis, move the head. Just release the back bending. Find your way into a full dog pose. You can bend your knees as much as you want. Deep breath in. Then walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Shake your tail, shake your head, release your ribs, bounce a little bit, whatever feels good. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Push off your feet. Rise up. If you're dizzy, squeeze to the midline. Open up. Gather the energy from the sky. Bring it to your hands and pause into Tadasana. You can do Samasthiti with your hands together too. Get used to standing. We're on our back, and with the bolster, it's a very different kind of feeling to be standing. So adjust, let yourself get oriented here. And then release the hands down if you haven't already done so. And just breathe in some energy. Bend your knees, have enough give so that you're receiving from the earth. We're yielding, our breath is deep. Let your head float over your shoulders. Okay. And bend slowly, let your head drop. Come back down onto your back. Bring your knees into your chest. You're rocking a little bit, swaying from side to side. Simple twist before Shavasana. Put your feet on the ground. Scoot your hips to the right, knees up, and drop them to the left. Breathing well. Enjoy the twist. Let your head relax. Lift up your knees. Scoot your hips to the other side. Knees come up close to the chest. Drop them over. Twisting, turning your head away from your knees. Relax the shoulders. Come into the breath. And relax to come onto your back. Now, for Shavasana, decide what is going to feed you best. Perhaps leg up the wall would be a good choice, or the legs up a couch or something. Perhaps lying flat. Perhaps you'd like to be a little elevated and have, a heart bench kind of vibe where you have one block high and one block middle. If you're going to do that, put a bolster or a couple of blankets over the blocks so we're not so jabby. I want you to not feel like you're in a back bend. If you're going to choose to have support underneath your back, have it be more of a ramp feeling than a really pushing open. You can come into Supta Baddha Konasana legs. Just choose the pathway that's going to be your best support. There's so many choices. Perhaps the very traditional Shavasana with absolutely nothing is your best choice. It doesn't matter what you're choosing, just know why you're choosing it. Now, this posture is the most important pose when you feel like you need to feed yourself energy. So once you get comfortable in your body, let's start moving the breath. So start your Shavasana with deep, fluid breaths, bringing prana in, getting that energy flow, feeding ourselves what we need, and then consciously letting go what we don't need. What is it that you are trying to release? Maybe your energy is poor because there's something that needs to be surrendered or let go of, either physically or emotionally or mentally. So every breath in is this opportunity for renewal. Every breath out is an opportunity for letting go. Let the body surrender. The prana will do its job without the body having to work hard for it. You can just rest. Soft belly, soft brain. Let the back of your head soften into whatever support you have. Melt the skull, melt the eyes, tongue and the jaw, the base of the skull and the throat, shoulders, the arms. Melt the spine, pelvis, your legs.
begin to deepen our breathing again. And remember, every opportunity you have to breathe in that sense of renewal, it's always there. Every breath, it's available to you to feel the fresh new start, to feel something shift, to feel gratitude and the possibilities of the moment. Let's just breathe that in and breathe out fully, letting go. Start to invite movement. Feel the body. Whatever is here is just right. You can start small with maybe your head turning from side to side or moving your fingers or toes. And eventually gather some bigger energy in, maybe a big stretch. Coming to find your way onto your side, curl into a ball for a moment, retrieve yourself, renew. Gather and come up to sit as you're ready. As you come upright, find a comfortable seat. Bring your hands over your heart or hands together at your heart, whichever feels best. Let's bow into our own process, however that is, of unfolding. Whatever energy we have to share, send it forth and know that when we give, we receive. When we give, we receive. So offer, let the energy move through you. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Hope everyone is feeling well.